The Talk Shows family is Namsa here at Nkosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, Amanda Marie, Nick Motishka. Hi, Amanda and Nick. Good to see you guys. They're just in Canada is 6 a.m. So forgive them. They are still half asleep. So Nick, you chose this topic. You chose the topic yesterday, right?
I did,
Perfect doesn't exist. Stop delaying your start because you want it to be perfect. So could you please explain to our audience why you chose this topic and why do you think the audience will benefit from the topic, please?
Sure. So for me, I resonate with this topic because I went through this for, well, my entire life, really. If I look back at my childhood, and really am honest, it's been something that I've struggled with my entire life. So for me, being a firstborn, being a Virgo, being a child of two perfectionists themselves, I was set up for perfectionism, basically, and it's really held me back in my life. I feel like up until a certain point when in the last few years where I've figured out that perfect doesn't exist and the perfect time doesn't exist and the perfect situation, and everything's not ever going to be exactly where you think it needs to be before you're ready to go. It just doesn't exist. And having that realization for me was really empowering to give me basically the strength to just push through that and get going anyways, and to take those steps to bring your dreams into reality. So that's kind of a short version of why I chose and why I resonate with this topic. But I'm interested to hear your guys' views as well.
I definitely struggle with that perfectionism piece because I'm so organized and everything has its spot, and I'll obsess over things until they're quote unquote perfect, but it's sometimes you just need to get things out to the world and not worry about them being perfect. And I think that's something that university actually helped me with in some ways, because especially the projects in my master's degree, I'd be obsessing over them, but then I'd finally I'd have to hand them in no matter what. Right. And then it wasn't perfect, but it still was sometimes done is better than perfect. And I think that's something that we have to learn as well, especially people who are perfectionists, because they fear putting themselves out to the world. And that's something that I've struggled with. But I found this quote by young Pueblo. I'm probably butchering his name, but it came across it on Instagram the other day, and it says, "Throw away the idea that you need to pause your life until you are fully healed. This is a different way of being attached to perfection. Real progress happens when you make better decisions in the midst of living. You can simultaneously heal your past while being open to the present." And I just thought that was so powerful, is because so often people stay stuck because they're it's not the right time, or they're a fear relationship because it's not the right time, or they haven't had enough time to heal, or they won't leave a marriage because they're I need to stay there for my kids. It's not the right time. And so often we are stuck in that perpetual, things have to be perfect until I can do this. And in reality, that's never going to happen. So I think that's kind of where my brain goes when I think about perfection, is how often we try to strive for that and yet it doesn't exist. And then it keeps us stuck in our patterns of continuing to strive for that perfectionism, or to wait and not start because we're waiting for the perfect time. So that's kind of where my thinking of it to start with anyways.
Yeah, I think you in life, you just have to, like what Nick is saying, that it comes from both parents, they are perfectionist. And I think in life, you just have to get on with things. They don't have to be perfect, mostly in business. If you're waiting for everything to be perfect, I'm going to do the training. Once I do the training, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take my business pictures, my headshot. Then I'm going to start building my website. I'm going to start, the list goes on. And I was watching Shanda Samta the other day, and she was like, if you are somebody who's still taking professional photos to put to put on social media, that means there's something wrong with you. So she was like, you don't have to put professional photos, headshot on social media now. You have a smartphone. You can just take a beautiful picture and just get on it and start your business and stop making excuses, because we make excuses. It normally is fear. When you fear something, you use something to say, actually, when I'm ready, I'm gonna go on date, I'm gonna start losing weight, I need to lose weight, after losing weight, I need to look after my skin and making sure that when I go on dates, I look good. We write down so many lists of things, making excuses, or I wanna get promotion, but I'm not sure if I'm ready right now to apply for a job. So I got to wait till December after Christmas. And then after Christmas, and then I'm going to start approaching the companies. And then Christmas comes and they're like, I think I'll wait till summer because of fear of the unknown. So I think you just have to start. For me, it was like, when people used to look at my website, sometimes they will send me a message like 2 a.m. and telling me, I'm thinking something is going wrong, and they'll be telling me what's wrong with my website, and I'll be like, I'm okay. I'm learning. I'll be like, I'm okay. That's what is the process. Life is the process. I'll be like, yeah, I'm okay. The website is fine for now, until I actually, because when you're starting up, you can't just say, I want everything to be perfect. Professional website, it costs money. So I was okay I ask somebody, can you build my social media? I've got people to actually do social media for me, because when you build the social media pages, you have to make sure that everything is done properly. And LinkedIn profile, I built it myself, but I had to ask somebody else to come in. And at the time, I was like, I'm starting a business and I'm going to learn it as I go along, because although I've learned some stuff, done some research, but I didn't feel that when I'm starting, I needed a really, really professional website. I didn't think so. And all I did was just get on with it. The fear is there. It doesn't matter. Even when we started in Ngozi talk shows, the fear was there. I hadn't done loads of speaking. So I was like, let's just do it. And we just did it. As long as you know your message. The only thing that I can say is just know your message and do proper research. 5 hours, sleep 5 hours. The rest, do your research properly and get the right people around you to help you. Like Nick, you were saying before that, it's amazing how when you actually ask people and tell people that, you know what, I don't know how to do this, you'll be amazed how many people want to step in and help you. So I think that is life, that you just have to get on with it. Over to you, Nick.
Yeah, I love that. And while you were talking, I was thinking too, for me, is the coming to the distinction between some resistance and your intuition, and maybe your ego holding you back because it's scared of change, but what I mean by that is your kind of survival ego sense, or I'm not coming up with the right word here, but that wants to keep you safe. And that goes back, generations and hundreds and thousands of years, where keeping you safe and alive was the goal, right? Like and it was a real thing every day. There was threats out there, and if you were to do something outside of your routine, it could easily result in your demise. And so we have to realize that, yeah, society isn't quite that extreme anymore, and those intuition nudges to keep you safe can sometimes be holding you back too. So for me, I'm thinking of an example where in my own business, I'm looking for a marketing strategist, team, social media, SEO, the whole thing. And I had spoken to a few people and just felt this resistance to working with them. And so put it on kind of hold and move forward with other portions of my business. And then just in the past couple of weeks, I went on a business retreat mastermind, and I found this like unbelievable marketing team where 4 people from this group have come together and have started a marketing company. And one of them is an SEO professional, analytics and all that. One of them is professional marketing, putting together the overarching themes. One of them is a professional storyteller, so like audio, video, and like capturing that in an effective way. And another one of them is a social media expert. And so they've come together and putting together this company, and they want to have my business as their launching point. And it's like, oh, well, that was perfect that I didn't already hire out all of that. And so what I'm trying to get at is just, there is times when you're feeling that resistance, and there could be a reason for that too. But there's also times when that resistance is truly just holding you back. And so I guess the work is to really get to know what your intuition feels and sounds and looks like, compared to what does your ego just keep trying to keep you safe and keep you small and not putting yourself out there. What does that look like? And for me, that's definitely it's still ongoing, figuring that out for sure.
I think some of this comes back to always like what you put out comes back to you, right? So if your intuition or your gut is like, this isn't the right fit, maybe it's not the right timing or something, right? But we're talking about like that perfect timing, and it sounds like that all just aligned for you right just at the right time right now, which is so amazing. And that I think sometimes we just need to trust, especially if you have a gut feeling about something not being quite right, that you trust that there will be a time that it will all align and it will come into perfect alignment for you. I was really curious what your mastermind had said about this perfectionism, or about being stuck in like waiting till the perfect time, or to begin. Because if you had like not done any of the behind the scenes work up until you went to that mastermind, they might not have been like, we want to use you as the launch, right? Because you're still doing all of the other things, you just hadn't found the right marketing team yet. And so I don't think you were like sitting around twiddling your thumbs being like, oh, it's not the right time yet. You're doing all of these other things and being like, the right person will come in for me to like hire as a marketing team when I know this is going to be like a better time, or I'll feel more aligned with it. And I think sometimes our perfectionism maybe doesn't follow that intuition, right? We'll be like, oh, I need a marketing team before I do any of this background stuff, so I'm just going to go ahead and hire them even though it doesn't feel right. And we need to really make sure that we're feeling aligned with the people that we work with, because I so believe in collaboration, because we can't do everything ourselves, no matter how much we like obsess over getting everything done perfectly. You have to be able to like spread out the tasks, because you can't be an expert in marketing, search engine optimization, building videos, and like all of it. You just can't be all of that at once. And that's something that I always have struggled with. So I'm like, oh, I'll just do it all myself. And then I just get overwhelmed and I don't do anything really well. I just do everything sort of half well. And so really finding your niche and your passion, and then finding people who are more passionate in those other areas and that they love to do those things, I think really just builds your business and builds it stronger. And because collaboration is so important, and often perfectionists, I feel like they just obsess over making it perfect themselves and don't trust others that they will do a good job. And really, I feel like when you trust people and feel aligned with them, you just become, it's like what you talked about last week, where that 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4, because when you're in making a mastermind, it actually multiplies exponentially, because you're able to bounce ideas off of each other. And that power of collaboration is so much more powerful than just you by yourself.
Amanda, that you have to trust that everything is just going to work out fine when you want to make a decision. I think that is that's what I always do, that when every time I want to do something, if I see that there is fear in me, I just have to trust that things are gonna be okay, and trust my decision as well, and just pray about it, and just keep going. And also, Nick, you said you had this resistance. Sometimes we do have to listen to our intuition. You had this resistance where you were looking for somebody for social media marketing, and you were not actually connecting with the people that you were finding, but then you resisted, and you found, finally you went to the mastermind group, and you found what you were looking for. And I think there was always that part where God knew that you're gonna find what you want. But if you were like, I wanna rush, I did the same thing, like with the social media. I'll speak to people and just ask what are they going to do with my social media. And I was like, actually, I don't know anything about social media. I need to find, actually I found one person, and but she just disappeared. She was doing the work and I was paying her, and she disappeared. And I was like, okay, fine. Nick's laughing. So what I did, I actually decided to learn more about social media myself. But then when I actually connected with my content, I started realizing, actually, I don't need somebody to post for me. I need to post myself, but then I need to go find somebody to go behind the scenes and do analytics and bring traffic to my social media. So that one, I decided to approach people that does that. And this guy was like, yeah, you can do the posting. And I've realized that by doing the posting, it means that I keep it unique, because you can post, like, you can set your content for a week or 2 weeks, and you don't have to, but I don't do that. I just actually, I have the content ready. All I do is just copy and paste in the morning and just post it how I'm feeling, what I think the audience will like, and just post it. And it takes less than 10 minutes. It takes 5 minutes, and it's all done. And they do the background. I have people that do the background, and then I have people, I had to get somebody in it for hashtags as well, to make sure that I'm using everything is linked to the right hashtag based on what I'm doing, my niche. So, but I didn't know how it's gonna turn out, and it's turned out to be okay. So you just have to trust, and when you trust, you get there eventually where you need to be. You just have to have that faith and meditate and pray, and get people, be somebody who does research as well. Is very, very important. Whatever you do with your business or with whatever your job that you do, is very, very important. If you want to go to the next level, and do your research. And if you are somebody who is making excuses, hit your head up and go, boom, and start whatever you want to start. And don't say I'm not ready to go on dates now because I have problems with weight. People make up so many stories. And when you talk to somebody, people will be like, oh, well, at the moment, I need to raise my kids first, or I need to do this, I need to do this. So I'm going to put my life on hold, raise the kids. And then when the kids are older, then I'm going to start dating. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But then if you don't want to date, you just say, I don't want to date. I'm not ready. Just say as it is. And that's fine. But if you make any excuses and say, I just want to start when everything is okay, or we start a business now, we have recession, things are not okay, it is the right time to start a business right now. And go and research the market. What is the gap in the market? And how can you make a difference in the community? And just get on with it. No excuses. Look, the kid says, you are right, Nomsa. No excuses. And just find people that can be there for you, and know that everything is possible if you really want to do something, because the fear will always be there. And work on your weaknesses as well. And if you know that you have a bad habit of being a follower, it does, when it comes to business, it doesn't work. And if you are somebody who does not know how to say no, that is another habit. Work on that one, and practice to actually speak in front of the mirror. So when you do your networking, you actually network properly and meet people if you are someone who is shy. Because sometimes people, they are shy, but if you know exactly what you're selling and the message you want to send it out there, you wouldn't have a problem to actually meet people and just sell your products. And also be aware that there is going to be people that when you are a startup, they're going to put you down. There's going to be plenty of them that they forget that they've been there, so they will put you down. But don't worry about them. Worry about those who are there to support you, and just keep going, regardless of whatever the situation is. Just keep going. I used to meet people and they're like, do I need a matchmaker to actually help me find love? And I'm like, are you married? Like, no. Are you in a relationship? No. I'm like, okay. So I have to explain that not everyone has time to actually go out. People are very, very busy. They live a busy life. People who have high-end jobs, they don't have time to go to the pubs. And also sometimes the people who have money, they end up meeting the wrong people because of their title. So they come to a matchmaker to say, listen, go and hunt me a woman, or go and hunt me a man. And when you find that man, then I do the talking and I do the selecting. And that's all you do. Over to you, Nick.
For me, so that getting over that perfectionism and waiting to start, I'll just tell you a story. I'm pretty sure I've already told you guys this, but so when I first had the idea to start the business that I've started, which is an apparel brand based here in Canada, and made from natural fibers and locally made and cool. And so I had this idea, and historically I would, an idea would come in, and then I would come up with a million reasons why I can't do it or shouldn't do it, or the timing wasn't right, or all of those things. But this time was different. And I was at a point in my life when I just wanted change and craved that change. And what I was doing wasn't doing it for me anymore. And so the idea came to me. I did some moves in the background, bought the domain and made a couple of small moves. And then as a complete sign of I'm doing this, and faith, and something that goes completely against what I would normally have done historically, I found the first person I told. So at my previous job, I was a police officer. And so I found that guy, and I'm sure everyone has that guy or that girl at work that's like the poo-pooer, like the person that will has negative things to say about every idea or every situation, and is just, I think everyone can probably picture that person in their life. So I found that guy for me, and I just went for it. And I just told him exactly what I was going to do and how excited I was about it, and that I was going for it. And so for me, I didn't even care what he said. I actually don't even remember what he said. It was symbolic for me just to put that out there into the world and to show that, okay, if I can tell this guy, I'm doing it, and I'm gonna truly put myself out there. And yeah, it was a powerful situation, and it was nothing. I don't even well, I'm sure he would remember, but excuse me, not probably a big deal for him, but for me, that telling of what I was up to was really symbolic for me, and just got the ball really rolling to put myself out there. Historically, I would keep myself small, and I just wouldn't put myself out there, and that would keep me safe, and that would keep me in the known. And for me, it took getting to a point where the known wasn't good enough, and where I had to push through that. And then I just wanted to touch on one other thing here, and that was something Nomsa talked about, and that's asking for help. We were talking before the show about that, and how much growth there's been in that exact thing for me, getting over the fact that I have to do everything myself, and nothing will be perfect if it's not all me, and then almost feeling like I'm inconveniencing other people by asking for help. That's another trait that I have. I don't know where that comes from. I'm sure childhood. And getting over that, and just, well, putting myself out there and being vulnerable, asking for what I need, and both, asking people, but also praying and asking for signs and things to work out, and situations to unfold. It's been phenomenal what happens when you just ask. Like, it's so funny to me to look at my life and think about all the times when I haven't even thought to ask. Like, it wasn't even something that entered my awareness that was a possibility. Excuse me. And it just seems so silly. Like, just ask for help, and people will. When you come from that place of vulnerability and honesty, and just in alignment with what you truly feel, it's phenomenal what people will do for you when you just ask. And it's so much better than doing it by yourself. Number one, it's way more fun, it's way easier, and then you can concentrate on the things that you're really passionate about, and you can apply that perfectionism to those areas of whatever the situation is, and focus on your strengths, while letting other people who have completely different strengths focus on their strengths, which actually help you, and in turn help themselves. And it's just this excuse me, self-fulfilling, amazing, positive prophecy, basically. So that's been something that I've come to realize here more recently.
I like what you said about how it's so much more fun to work with other people, and as a classroom teacher, that's what I see too, is that the kids, they just come up with such better ideas when they can collaborate and work together. Not always will I let them, because sometimes the noise level just gets too crazy and they get a little off task, but when they're actually focused and working and helping each other, that's when I see the most growth in their learning. And even in like an area like math, where they can play a game together and teach each other, is so much more valuable than if I just stand at the front of the room and try to like teach it to them. Like, I'll get, when kids collaborate and show, oh, I understand it this way, or have you tried this, and they get to work together, it just becomes that like ball of like brainwaves and geniuses, and it just keeps rolling. And I find it so interesting when the kids had to learn online. My daughter was like, not loving it at all. And I was like, honey, you like, school's easy for you. Like, what is the problem? And she wouldn't do anything at home. And I was getting so frustrated. And she's like, it's because it's not fun because I don't have my friends. And I was like, it's not about the work at school. Like, the school is about the socialization and that ability to collaborate, which is so important. That was something that was completely lost. And I think that it's so important for kids, especially, to be able to learn those skills of collaboration at a young age. Because if they don't learn that, then they're going to be continuously stuck thinking they have to do everything themselves. And that's not actually what we want in business or in society. We need, I was actually just reading this kid's book that I bought the other day about a magic pencil, and it essentially is like everything, the spider web of different things you need just to make a pencil. And and it's unbelievable. Like I was reading, and it's like the gas and the this and the this, and it just like shows how interconnected and interwebbed everything is. And it's actually a series of books for kids by Connor Black. And it tries to teach a whole bunch of things about history and the internet connectedness of things, and about money and where it comes from, and all the things that we want kids to learn, but they're not necessarily learning in schools. And so I bought this series. I actually had to send it to a place in the States because it was like way more expensive to get in Canada. And I went and got a friend to bring it back for me. But it's just so interesting how interconnected so many things are. And yet we don't think of them like the simplicity of a pencil, yet it really isn't that simple. And a friend sent me a thing the other day about electric cars and how they're like the future and blah, blah, blah. But it was like the reality of electric cars. And in fact, your carbon footprint isn't actually improving until you go over 100,000 miles. So like you're actually at a carbon footprint deficit until after you go over this much. But they're like making you think that if you do this, then you're like helping the environment and the world will be so perfect and blah, blah, blah. But there's a very dark side to electric vehicles, and that perfectionism that you're seeing isn't actually the truth. And so I just found that like so interesting how like everything is interconnected, and what you might think is perfect or like envision as this perfect world, there's like a dark side that you're not necessarily seeing if you're not looking at both sides of what's going on. And so I think that's something that's super important. But I think collaboration is something that all of us perfectionists need to open our eyes to, because there's just so much more that you can get when you collaborate with people. And sometimes everything just aligns at the right time too. In my own life, I'm working on getting this book out there called How Yoga Empowered My Life. And my strength isn't marketing. And yet then this weekend, I had a friend come into town and stay with me, and they're working on spreading their music through the world and doing a little tour across Canada. And they made this like short little video of all the things that he did while he was in Calgary, and put his music to it and put it out there. And he was like, I'm trying to work on really growing my presence. And then I was talking with one of the girls that I'm collaborating on this book with, and she's like, we need, like, it'd be so cool if we could do some like little snippet videos together and like put it together. I was like, I know exactly who I'm going to get to do this for me. I'm not even going to try to do it myself. I'm like, I'm going to get my friend to do this, because they also wrote a song that's called Namaste, which is a yoga song. And I watched his video for it a long time ago. And it's so funny how everything's just like aligning, right? It's like, I'm doing this book. He was just here. I watched him like take little videos and then see the finished product at the end. And I was like, this is exactly what I need. And if I had tried to like figure out how I was going to do this myself, I would get really frustrated and probably never get it out to the world. But the fact that I was brainstorming with other people, even at different times, not even in a group together, just has opened my eyes to what's more is possible. And I think that's something that's super important. And that if I hadn't been willing to collaborate or willing to open my eyes to what other people are doing, that opportunity wouldn't present itself. And so I think sometimes being open to having other ideas come in and not just being like, nope, this is my idea and I'm not going to waver from it, is just being open to whatever good can come, is something that's super important too when we look at perfectionism.
Perfect. Everything has got to be perfect. I think I agree with you, Amanda, is you have to look at both sides as well when you're making your decisions. And there's this perfect world, there's this world that is not perfect. And sometimes it is the things that stops us doing the things that we want to do is the fear of imperfection and confusing our priorities as well, and indecision, and also lack of focus if someone has problems with focusing as well, because if you really focus, you will just make a decision and just do it. And I wanted to go, I'm supposed to go to Dubai 16, 17, and the 19. So I had to look at it. Okay, if I find somebody to actually manage the company, and while I'm gone, look at the things that, will I be able to do this while I'm there? Or am I just going to be really busy and focused? Will I be able to do this? Will I be able to do this? And I was like, when I speak to people and I realize there's no way that I'm going to find somebody to actually do the work that I do. And of course, there are some people who are doing the work within the company. And then I was like, I think I'm just going to have to pass this one. And this woman, she was like, well, if you are not going, that means we're going to have to take the award from you. And I was like, please, with pleasure, because I need to make money. And if I'm not there, that means if there is no one, I explained to her that there are so many things that I need to sort out at the moment. It's not the right time. I'm happy to travel, happy to go and have fun, but at the same time, my business will just, things will just go wrong. So I said to her, at the moment, I need to stay focused. And I just left it like that. So I agree with you. And also Nick said you just have to have faith, and faith is something that we hope for, that things will work out just fine. And some people, they wait for other people to affirm that things are gonna be okay, or sometimes we want that reassurance that Nick, I'm trying to start this, and Nick goes, if Nick has a negative reaction about whatever decision that I want to take, so that means my decision is not going to work. But if he says, you'll be good at it, so I'm just going to use Nick's ideas, or I'm going to be good and just go ahead because Nick has given me that reassurance. But if I ask Nick if he's having a bad day, he's just going to tell me, no, it's not going to work. So that means I'm not going to go ahead with it. So I agree with you guys, and Amanda as well. You said you have, was it Nick who said you have to learn to have fun with people? That was Nick said, working with people is really fun. When you collaborate with people, it is really fun, but you have to collaborate with the right people as well. Like Nick, you were having resistance with whatever the people you were interviewing to actually work with you. And which is your instincts. They do tell you that if you're going to connect with that person properly, inside you know, if your heart says no, that means it's not the right time. You just have to keep searching for the right people. So I think that is the power of taking action, not wanting to wait and until everything is perfect. Just go for whatever you want, and you get there eventually. The road of success is not easy, but you get there So those who fear, whatever you fear, that fear does not go away until you start. So you might as well get on with the things and start whatever the job, whatever the decision, the things you want to start, and break the loop. If there is a loop of resistance all the time, negative things, when you want to start something, you can break that cycle and just focus and just climb the mountain. And the mountain is always going to be tough to climb, but whatever is on the other side of the mountain is greater than the climbing. So just keep going and know that you're going to be okay, and just keep it unique and authentic as well. Like Nick, I like Nick's vulnerability. When Amanda brought him at Ngozi talk shows, he was like, okay, I've never done this speaking before, but I don't even know what is going on, but I'm just going to come in at Ngozi talk show and I'm just going to get on with it. And here you are, Nick. So now you're comfortable. Now, I'm sure if we say, can you run the Ngozi talk shows? You'll be like, okay, sure. Yeah, you'll be okay. So that's where the stage where you are now, which is really good. And your business, you left your job, and I quit. For me, when I want to make a decision, if I feel the resistance, it means it's never gonna happen. If I want to leave something, I just have to quit straight away and say, I quit, and close my eyes and just say, God, I hope for the best for my life. And I hope things are going to just work out fine. Even when I'm making a decision with the business, I just have to have faith and hope that things are I just have to have that faith that the path that I'm taking is fine. And if I face challenges, I'm like, okay, it's life. Over to you, Nick. And also, Nick, if anyone is watching right now and they don't know who you are, could you please tell our audience who you are and what you do, please?
Sure. So I was a police officer for, 17 years. And then prior to that, about 5+ years in different enforcement related jobs. So my entire adult life I spent in that enforcement world. And just I just resigned from my job back in April of this year, and am going all in on an apparel brand. And I kind of mentioned it before, but just it's called Flow State Designs. It's based here in Canada, manufactured in Canada, with the best natural fibers that are available. And for me right now, that's hemp and organic cotton, and it's cool as hell. And it's something that I couldn't find in the market. And so I just got out of my own way, waiting for that perfect time and that perfect situation, and just decided it was coming up on 3 years ago that I was just going to build it myself. I couldn't find it in the market. And so I just went ahead and built it. And so here we are. And I was just thinking, as you were talking there, Gnomes, as well, about getting into the flow of life and just letting life carry you without fighting and swimming upstream and holding on too tight. And then Amanda, you were talking about the situation with your friend, with the musician, and then with this marketing thing. And it's like, historically, I'm sure there was times in your life, and for me definitely, where I would just be like, oh, that's a weird coincidence, and just keep forcing whatever I would normally do by myself, just slogging it out. Whereas, yeah, if you just get into that flow and just allow it to happen, you're like, oh, well, that's interesting timing, and then just go for it, and to take steps in that action. Of course, yeah, the signs are you have to first of all recognize the sign, and then you have to take aligned action, right? You can't just sit back and expect things to be handed to you on a silver platter. There's definitely an aspect where you have to put it into motion and make moves in the real world, absolutely. But to get into that, and just to stop stopping life from happening for you. And for me, being on this show was exactly one of those examples. Would this be something that I would normally have done in my previous life? Nope. But the opportunity presented itself at a time where I'm just like, sure, like let's do it. Let's see what happens. And for me, it's been an incredible growth, learning how to speak in this format and getting comfortable in this situation. I have no idea what that will lead to in my life going forward, but I feel like when an opportunity like this is presented, to just get out of your own way and just step into that and embrace it and go for it. And for me, I like to describe that, and I didn't come up with this, of course, but it's just, yeah, getting into that flow of life. It really does feel good, and then amazing things seem to happen in life when you do that.
I really like how you said just get into the flow of life, because that's just, I think, what we all want to strive for. Don't know if any of you have ever read the book by Brene Brown called The Gifts of Imperfection, or The Gift of Imperfection. It's such a good book, and it's one of the first books that I ever read on like self-help and getting out of your own way, essentially. And I just looked up some quotes for it while you guys were talking, and I really like this one. It says, "Healthy striving is self-focused. How can I improve? But perfection is other-focused. What will they think?" And I think that's something that really like hits home, as if you are healthy striving, then you're like self-focused. How can I improve? And just flowing and not worrying about what anybody else thinks. But that perfectionism, you get stuck because you won't put yourself out there because you're worried about what other people will think. And I just think that's so powerful and so clarifying on the difference between healthy striving and that perfectionism, where that line is kind of drawn. And then I also found another one that I really like, that I'd like to share. It says, "Perfectionism is a self-destructive and addictive belief system that fuels this primary thought: if I look perfect and do everything perfectly, I can avoid or minimize the painful feelings of shame, judgment, and blame." And that one also hit home for me too, because it's like, I was always like, if I do all of these things perfectly, then everything will work out. But that's not true at all. It doesn't matter how good you look, how fit you are, how many degrees you have, things aren't going to work out perfectly. It doesn't matter. It matters about are you growing? Are you learning? Are you taking each situation that comes towards you as an opportunity for growth, or a reason to keep you stuck? And I think that's the way to look at things. And I've talked about this before. In any struggle in life, can you ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation and how can I grow? Versus, oh, poor me, this happened to me. Because those are those are going to take you on two very different paths based on how you choose to perceive it. And I think that just ties right into that perfectionism too, is are you choosing healthy growth? And if you are, then you're going to achieve amazing things. But if you're striving for perfectionism, you're going to be stuck in that blame, shame, stress cycle of it's not perfect, because nothing is ever perfect. And we need to learn to flow with the ebbs and flows of life. Oh, I have another thing too about this perfectionism, because in school, I see kids that are perfectionists from a very, very young age. And they actually, even though sometimes they're some of the smartest kids in my classroom, they'll actually be the first to start panicking when they don't understand something, or they don't understand something perfectly, and get really, really frustrated. And we have to almost take a step back and teach them, and teach even adults now that it's okay to not understand something completely right away, and to learn that frustration and learn how to overcome frustrations. Because I know some of my kids that just get things really, really quickly. When there's something that they don't get really, really quickly, their frustration just skyrockets right away. And I'm almost taken back from it, because I'm like, everything's so easy for you. Like, why are you upset that one thing is frustrating you? But then I realize it's that they expect perfection of themselves. And it's almost like that perfect teaching moment of we're not all perfect and we all have something we can learn and we all have different strengths. And while your strength is all of these areas and other people's isn't, this might be that one area that maybe those other people who struggle in all the areas you're great at can actually help you and uplift you in this. And that's such a great learning opportunity. And yet it's something that really needs to be taught, that ability to struggle with something and to persevere and keep going rather than to shut down. And I see that in my students all the time. And then I see it in adults. And if we don't learn it at a young age, then it's just going to continue. And so teaching kids that healthy striving versus perfectionism that's destructive.
The kids definitely, when they're young, to actually just tell them the word perfectionist. He exists in the dictionary, but in reality, it doesn't exist. I tell my children all the time that you just have to do your best. Like my daughter, she's doing exams. I said to her, you just have to, she's one of those children that if she doesn't get all the answers right, that's not good enough. So I said to her, listen, you do your best. And once you do your best, you cannot complain. Even whatever the marks you get, you have to give yourself credit that you've done enough. And that's all you can do. Stressing and my children had a competition 2 weeks ago. And I was talking to these children and their friends just before backstage. So I said to them, girls, are you ready to go and dance? So they're busy like learning their dance and trying to make everything perfect. And I was like, can you guys stop? Their teacher wasn't there, and then they just stopped. And then they stopped. And then I was like, do you know your dance? And they are like, yes. And I said to her, listen, there's a big difference between somebody who knows every step trying to be perfect when they are on stage than somebody who goes on stage and have fun and give it all. And I was like, if you are perfect and everything, the steps are perfect and you don't give me the fun side, that's boring. I want to go to sleep. So I was like, can you just forget about everything and just play the music and have fun? And these girls, they started playing, we started playing the music and they were like, having fun. And I was like, just show me, how do you dance when you're having fun, like no one is watching? What happens? And they started dancing. They were like dancing for 20 minutes. And my daughter goes, oh no, you were teaching them to have fun. Oh my God. And she was like, oh my God. And the following week, because when they were going in on stage, we were there all day. So I was like, when my daughter's finished, we're just gonna go. So I didn't get a chance to see their dance. And the following week with the presentation, and they were like, all of them were having their trophies. And I was like, this is amazing. I had to go and give them hugs because they actually, they learned to actually go and just have fun. Because everything is all about having fun. Even when you start your business, if it becomes a part where you're not enjoying it, it's not fun anymore. Like Amanda, when you speak about your teaching, it's like that you have this passion. You're very passionate about teaching the children. And I just wish you were in the UK. I would send my children to your school because you speak with passion. And even when you explain how you work, I love that process. And with Nick as well, when you talk about your business and you talk about the process and how you're attending the meetings, you speak with passion. And it's just like, it brings me joy that I'm surrounded with people that do something that they love. And that's all you can ask for. And are we perfect? No, but we just give it all. We are not perfect, but we just give it all, and we make sure that our audience and the community, they we help them find their own voice and lead from within. I've just realized, Amanda, you've not introduced yourself to our audience. Would you please like to introduce yourself to our audience?
Well, I kind of did. I am a teacher, I'm an author. I love to help people find their own unique creative capacities within themselves, because I believe we are all infinitely creative. And so I just help people find their creative spark within themselves.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Nick, do you have any words of encouragement, please, before we leave?
Certainly. So I'm reminded of talking about perfectionism, obviously, today. And when I look at nature, look at beautiful trees, a forest, a beach, anything, when you truly look at any individual item, a tree, branch, or whatever, nothing's perfectly straight or at a, the ideal angle, and there's perfection in that. And so it's just kind of an analogy for life too, is like, it doesn't have to look perfect or, be the perfect angle and all that thing to be perfect. And what is perfect is just taking aligned action and going for something that you're truly passionate about. And so you hit the nail on the head, I think, when you described what you liked about Amanda and myself, and that's that passion. And when someone's truly doing something that they're passionate about, you can feel that a mile away. And I think that's what we all strive for in life, is to have that passion, and just got to go for it. Perfect doesn't exist, and the perfection is in realizing that and not being perfect. That is being perfect.
Any words of encouragement, Amanda, please, before we go?
Yeah, I think I'm just worried because I feel like my 7 o'clock alarm is going to go off in just a second. So I'll be like, I honestly believe that the way to see, there it is. The way to find yourself out of that perfectionism thing is just like, how can I grow and to start? To not be stuck in things have to be perfect, is to start right now, wherever you're at, whatever it is that you have always wanted to do, you need to start, do the very first thing that you could do in stepping towards that goal today. And then tomorrow do the next one, and tomorrow do the next one. And eventually you'll just be filled with such passion that it just becomes a natural part of your day. And that's, I think, what we all want to strive for, is just having some passion and purpose in our day, and not allow that perfectionism of not the right time, not the right place, what could go wrong, what are other people going to think, keeping us stuck from actually starting. Because when we start, that's when things are going to align and things are just going to flow with life.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nick and Amanda. And for me, as don't let people affirm your destination, and don't wait for the perfect time. There's never going to be a perfect time. Just trust the process and have faith in you. And if there is a struggle with confidence and your image, your personality, work on it, meditate, work on whatever the skills that you need. And you don't have to be perfect. Remember, whatever you do, you can go and learn something, but you're gonna have to come back and create your own image, create your own personality. And so just go for it. Find a good coach. If you can't find a good coach, go on YouTube. You can find videos and learn. I learned some of the things on YouTube, and I get things done. Does it mean I'm perfect? No, I'm not perfect. So just go for what you want. And anything else is just go with the flow. When you want to make a decision, go with the flow and know that you're not alone. There's people that are going to want to cheer you up. That one person, that's enough. Some people want everybody. No, one person is enough. and just go for what you want, seek help, and the help will be there for you, and just go for what is needed to be done and get on with it and take action. No excuses. God bless everyone. We're here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday. And please, if you want to connect with Nick, just follow him on his social media. If you want to connect with Amanda, you can connect with Amanda through her social media, or you can get in touch with me. I'll connect you with Amanda and Nick. And if you want to connect with any other coaches, please do. And you want to do something, you have got these tasks, that the goals that you have written, and you're still trying to start, just get on with it. I just say, just get on with it and live with grace, and God bless.